Isn't he Mexican?
Colombian.
He calls himself American.
What is this?
Anchor Baby.
And in this corner, it's the American Anchor Baby.
Daddy's home.
That's an offensive term. People find that hurtful.
You mean it's not politically correct? Excuse me. I'll use the word anchor baby.
No, he's an anchor baby in Canada.
Tell him we still rolling with Trump, too.
Anchor baby, the whole thing sounds horrific. You're just making it sound like immigrants are these horrific, greedy people.
Ustedes pueden aceptar mi negocio o aceptar las consecuencias. Plata o plomo.
So you would be considered white, in my opinion.
You're the blackest one in this room.
I think so.
And what happened was his mama got pregnant on the other side of the border. And then a few hours before, just before it was time for him to pop out, she jumped across the border and let him fall on America's soil. So he became the anchor baby. They don't call him the anchor baby for nothing. Amazing.
We like this anchor baby, right?
Hello, I'm the American Anchor Baby, and this is my show. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate it. How y'all doing? Tuesday. We're here Tuesday. 12:04 p.m. Welcome, everybody. It's the American Anchor Baby. About to get started here in a second. All right. Dang. What a mess. These past few days, huh? But I see you all rolling into the show. I see you in the chat. We're going to have ourselves a Tuesday show. Even though it's insane. The world has gone mad. Whatever. We're going to get into it, though. We got plenty to get into. It's going to be a nice and loosey and goosey. All right? But I think it should still remain interesting as we're going to expand on a number of things that we've already talked about since yesterday. And as well as other things, too. It's not all about that. Now, you may see a little bead of sweat on my forehead, but do not be alarmed. Your host is fine, just a little hot. If we could have the troops in the back hit me with that AC just a little bit. It's quite hot, in fact. A little bit of AC, folks. The soldiers in the back, in the bullpen at the office. Hit me with that AC, and I will live. I might live for 2 hours. So that I may speak to the people. For those who are listening, you'll be able to at least enjoy the show and not see your sweating host. But it's okay, because you just got to hear. You don't have to see. But welcome. Okay, so I want to get into a couple of things that we got into, as well as your calls, okay? 888-775-3773. I got the Trump on. I'm rocking the Trump. I'm rocking the Trump with the Fucci face. He's all Fucci-faced. Why? He's all Fucci-faced. No, I'm just playing. Don't mean to vandalize him too much. Just playing around. Hey, thanks, Frederick. Yeah, got the swag on. Whew. Somebody hit me with the AC. Save me. I think someone did. Give it some time. It'll start working. My body will cool down. I can't breathe, said George Floyd. What's up, Mr. Pink? Mr. Pink also said that in the chat. Welcome, and I thank you, spoiler alert, for the number. Great reminder. That's 888-775-3773. If you want to jump on the air and call in, get it off your chest, and speak to the Anchor Baby, the American Anchor Baby. Oh, is that a breeze I'm feeling? You guys, relief is such a nice feeling after pain. Isn't that true? The AC's hitting. I was ready to do anything. I was about to do anything. Wow, this heat is crazy. What do you want me to do? Who do I have to go to war with? Who do I have to go to war with? I need AC. That's how I was feeling. For a second there, that's how I was feeling. Once I was in a difficult, painful situation, if someone could just give me relief, I'll agree to anything. What's up, Mr. Pilot? Thank you. Pause. Okay, maybe not anything. But being a little tongue-in-cheek, whatever, facetious, talking about global conflicts worldwide, right? Kind of a tough, sometimes, well, I don't find it heavy for me personally, but things I could be a little flippant. So, you know, I understand. Global conflicts, kind of a big deal. Kind of a big deal, and people aren't happy. People are happy. People are quite mad, in fact. And when I showed you yesterday, pretty much both sides saying pretty pretty next level things. They say wipe them off the gene pool. They say it's time to wipe. I've seen that from both sides. Wipe these people off from the gene pool, off the face of the earth. We'll get into all that. Rumble, what's up, Rumble? Rumble.com/American Anchor, baby. Want to do this real quick? You can support and watch the show over there on Rumble. Multi-streaming here. We got the whole shebang going. And those over there on Rumble can Rumble rant and support the show, as well as chat away, like the stream, comment away. It helps. The engagement helps here on YouTube and Rumble. Beautiful. Beautiful, that AC. Cold War. And I see your calls coming in, 888-775-3773. I will get to all your calls. More AC in the Gaza Strip, none of this would have happened. Look, that Gaza, the Gaza, I love accents. The Gaza Strip, as they say, some say. Gaza. And you know about the conflict. I pretty much spoke about it yesterday with some, and, at length. And I wanted to, just run down some of these links I have here and kind of just go off the top here a little bit and expand on a couple things here. Okay, where do I start? Because there's a lot of videos going around right now. Lots of videos. Many, many videos going around, and they're emotionally charging. Whatever, they're polarizing, okay? They get people going. And people online, you're seeing the discourse, okay, that I even showed you some of it yesterday. You're seeing them rally in the streets. You're seeing them on Twitter. You're seeing them around saying, hey, that side's got to die. That side's got, that's it. And I'm not going to say, like I said yesterday, right? People have the right to defend themselves. Get it going. You got to understand what's going on a little bit, right? But it's a whole different thing when other players are involved. And there was a great call on the Hake Report today with Artie from Ohio. And he had a question. He wondered, what do we have to do over there? Do we have any reason at all? Like any business to support Israel or be over there or whatever? And it was a great question. And I think there is, in fact. And it's only this, really. And it's maintaining a stability and avoiding getting into a larger conflict with larger players at play, okay? Okay? You following? It'll be avoid that. So we have some vested interest, okay? And so where do I start here? Where shall we start? Because, I'll start here. Art's call, he's talking about, Art from Ohio called the Hake Report, a show on this network, if you're confused. You can check him out. He's live every day, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. And he had a call, okay? So they're talking about the conflict, Israel-Palestine. And Art asks, what business do we have supporting Israel? Well, that brings into question, what do you mean support Israel? Because there's been recent promises to fund the whole conflict over there and defend them. And so that's pretty major. Because there's a lot of players involved, okay? And you know who has the scoop? You know who has the scoop on this hard-hitting foreign policy, geopolitics, war, foreign policy, big boy topics, the ladies at the Skim. Who'd have thunk the ladies at the Skim had the scoop? You gotta love the radical ladies at the Skim. We love well, maybe we don't. Well, we love them, right? The Hake Report, that's why I call them that. The radical ladies at the Skim, which is an online news publication, which Hake just so poignantly describes. Anyways, I'm talking about this article here. And the ladies at the Skim got a finger on the pulse on foreign policy here, and they say on this conflict, the international community is racing to address the violence in Israel and Gaza. And what does the Skim speculate? The Skim does a little bit of speculation here, the ladies do, and they say, some believe Hamas, never again, Hamas, never again. Some believe Hamas timed the attacks to derail U.S.-led negotiations between Israel and Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia had apparently signaled that it would recognize Israel, which could pave the way for other Arab states to do the same. See, this is pretty interesting. See, it's just become interesting for me. Not only as thanks, little Nick. We're not going to need you right now. It's become interesting because of the conflict, and I just didn't know a couple of things, okay? I kind of ignored, for example, a little thing called the Abraham Accords. It happened during Trump, and it just happened, right? But what the heck happened? It's all going to fit. It's all going to fit. Okay. So let me get my bearings here. So this ladies at the Skim, they got their speculation on Iran and the whole Saudi Arabia deal. And so what is that? What's going on there? What does that mean? Normalizing Israel is a term you hear a lot during this thing. Well, before we get to that, and I do see your calls. I will get to your calls and super chats. Thank you for the patience. Before we get to that, I want to show you a little bit of the emotional scenes, okay? And how they're talking about it. A couple of emotional scenes here. And this is American media. MSNBC. No need to rehash too much. You could check out yesterday's show. Plus, I'm not like an expert. But let me show you this. A video. MSNBC reporting on the conflict. Israel-Palestine. Check it out. Let us watch this. And I'm not gonna destroy your ears here. Let's play it.
20 Israelis are killed, or 20.
Okay, this is good. Okay. And they're talking about the number of Israelis killed, and they're comparing it to 9/11. Okay, that's the point here. They're comparing it to 9/11 and its scope. And let's listen.
And 20 Israelis are killed, or 20 hostages are captured. That's like 1,000 Americans. So if we get into 60 Israeli killed, we're looking at truly a 9/11 level event. And I think in
9/11 level event, but no, it's much worse, in fact, because, this person on Twitter has a funny satire here. Exchange rate from Jew to American is presently 1 to 50. I don't know how they, I guess they got that number from just proportion. If you just, increased, if you compared the population of Israel proportionally, right, to America. I imagine that's how they got that, to get that kind of ratio of atrocity here. But let me show you this. So that was that. MSNBC, and they brought on Jonathan Greenblatt.
Bring in right now.
Jonathan Greenblatt, who runs the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League. You know somewhat about this organization. You know the organization from the recent campaign that right-wingers or whatever conservatives did on X.com. They were saying ban the ADL, and it was a whole little saga that happened recently, and it ultimately was about free speech. Okay, free speech, and how there are organizations that are against it. And they control that, and they go to the owners of these social media platforms like X.com, and they tell them what they believe shouldn't be on the platform and what should be. And people had a problem with that. The ADL, Jonathan Greenblatt, talks about this attack. Well, he doesn't want to call it an attack. And it's a little emotional. And I hope we get to it quick. I'm not going to play all of it. You know, I'm not counter-signaling Israel and their right to retaliate, defend themselves. I don't want to see death. I don't like it. But there's a particular moment in this that I wanted to highlight that will segue into the Iran deal here, and a little bit of my thoughts as a layman and what I see. Okay, real quick here. Let's watch this a little bit.
Bring in right now the CEO of the
Hopefully he's not too long-winded. If so, I'll do a little bit of skipping.
Defamation League, Jonathan Greenblatt, and the founder and the editor of the Free Press, the host of the podcast, Honestly Very Wise. Also with us, the president of the National Action Network and host of MSNBC's Politics Nation, Reverend Al Sharpton. Jonathan, I'll just start with you and ask.
All right, let's just get to Jonathan.
I'm going to do my best not to break down on the air. It sort of helps. I've heard so many of these stories. I have friends who were killed.
Yeah, he has like friends and family.
Hunkered
so
right down right now in Ashkelon. I have staff who can't locate members of their family. This is the worst of days. And, you know, I really appreciate what you said before this segment. Like, a lot of people are focusing right now on, was this a military failure? Was this an intelligence failure? Joe, this was a moral failure that we are all accountable for, because Hamas told us again and again and again and again in their charter, in their statements, through their actions, that their goal has never been a two-state solution. It has never been dignity and nationhood for Palestinians.
So you see that? Is he wrong about that? It's in their charter, right? The people in Gaza elected Hamas. I told you that yesterday. And so, just like Jesse Lee Peterson has been saying, the people are like the government. And that keep that theme in mind as we get into this, because there's no you're gonna get this like impulse to want to take a side, but put that aside and just listen to the show for a little bit if you're into this at all. Jonathan Greenblatt, he's saying about Hamas and what they're about and all that. Okay, interesting. But did you hear what he said too? He said it's a moral failure on all of us. Wait, hold on. So it's our fault. And I'm going to, I guess, play a little bit more, but what he's describing here is this moral failure of not recognizing what? What is the logical conclusion here? Moral failure of not recognizing what? That they are monsters. They just want to, I don't know. And that might be true, but it's interesting that it's on us here. And it may be in some sense here, and I'm going to make sense of that in a moment here, because you may be a little surprised to hear that Biden was about to basically do the biggest deal and save the Middle East. Yeah, media won't tell you that one. No, okay. We're going to get into it, though. Let me set it up. Jonathan Greenblatt, he's talking. Where was I? He's saying the moral failure, that's on us. Interesting little comment there. Yeah. Right, I don't need to say that, right? Americans aren't Hamas. Anyways, check this part out, though. Let's play a little bit more here.
It is the destruction of the Jewish state. It is the murder of Jews. And we have got to stop referring to what happened on Saturday as an attack, as if it was military on military. This was a massacre. This was a slaughter. The appropriate word is medieval, and the appropriate points of comparison are Al-Qaeda and ISIS. So what I have got to ask, and thank God for the Rev and the civil rights groups like
Oh, yeah, he's sitting beside Reverend Al Sharpton. He's saying, thank God for Reverend Al Sharpton. So that's who he's talking about. Thank God for the Rev.
the National Urban League and the NAACP, who, thanks to the National Action Network, they stood up. But where are the university presidents who gave clear statements about all these other causes that mattered? Black Lives Matter. Stop AAPI hate. It matters.
So those matter, right? Take it in. He's saying stop AAPI hate. Black Lives Matter. Where are the university leaders? They supported all that. Why aren't they supporting Israel?
Stand for Ukraine. It matters.
Stand for Ukraine,
Why
he says.
are they silent
All those matter.
on
Why
dead
not
Jews? Why is my inbox empty with messages from CEOs from major religious movements? Why?
That's an interesting one. I don't know why they have to. Why is my inbox empty? He says. Why haven't you? I don't know. Feigned, like people are liars. People are liars. They don't mean. You know what I mean? They'll go to a funeral and say, "Oh yeah, I feel." They'll go to a funeral of their own loved ones, and they'll say, "Oh, he was such a good person." Blah blah blah, and he's mad that they didn't DM him and tell him, "Man, it's so bad what's happening to Israel."
Where are they? Thank God for Congress. Thank God for President Biden. Thank God for the European leaders. But this moral failure, this rot, I see it in our civil society right now. And I've got to say,
I agree. There's a rot. There's definitely a rot in the spirit of America today, in every individual, in every person, every race, every man and woman, big time.
You know, I'm in my office.
I don't know if that's what he means, but you know,
Midtown on Sunday. We've been working around the clock. And the work that we're doing at ADL pales in comparison.
We're about to get to the cash money here. Hold on.
To what they're doing in Israel. Let me be clear about that. But I hear this chanting outside our office.
Right,
and we
right,
look
right.
down, and there is one of these pro-Hamas protests. And you know, I don't know if you've seen the documentary Night at the Garden. But in 1939, 20,000 Americans gathered in Madison Square Garden to cheer on Adolf Hitler and the Nazi. They prevented Jews from. This was after Kristallnacht.
I know, long-winded. Hold on.
This was after they prevented Jews from working. They stole their money. They were beating and murdering them in the street. These protestations, these are like pro-Nazi things in this country in the 30s. And complicit, these accomplices.
Basically, we might have missed it. The point is John Greenblatt basically counter signals the whole idea of this moral failure and making peace with Iran, making peace with the Arabs. Okay, hold on. No, where was I? He says. The cash money line that I was looking for is he's saying that we can't negotiate with terrorists. I'm sure I could maybe find it, but I don't want to derail the show here. Jonathan Greenblatt, he says you can't negotiate with terrorists, okay? And it's something. And after recently learning about the Abraham Accords, I realized something very interesting. And so, what are the Abraham Accords? Real quick. I told you yesterday. Basically, the history of Mandate Palestine and Israel and the atrocities on both sides and the terrorist attacks from the nationalists on this side and the nationalists on that side. And I told you about the tit for tat confusion of history, etc. And that basically has been the conflict in the area for ever since. It's the Jews have their home here, and the Arabs are like, no, we don't agree. We don't recognize the state of Israel as a state. Okay, obviously, duh. Many of you already knew, but maybe you're on the train ride with me and learning. And for the rest of you who are based and enlightened and way ahead of us, let us catch up. Have some patience as we fill in the holes here. I think people can arrive to an understanding. Let me stop teasing. Let me get to it. Look. Abraham Accords. Trump, going back to 2020, Trump, he basically, if I can be brief, negotiates a big deal. Arab states that at one point did not recognize the state of Israel suddenly did. the Abraham Accords. And the point is, the whole deal is you got America as the mediator between Israel and a couple of different, at the time, Arab states like the United Arab Emirates and others, okay? Jordan. No, or maybe not that one. And the agreement is America gives up some things. The Arabs agree that Israel is a state. They can trade, and they can figure out the Israel-Palestine thing maybe a little later. But we'll agree Israel exists, and we could trade, and we could be sort of friends and kind of hash things out in time and figure it out, right? It was a big deal, Abraham Accords, right? It's since the beginning of the whole conflict. You didn't have Arab states saying, yeah, okay, Israel, that exists, it's real, and you can stay. Pretty big deal. In fact, the Biden administration, they call it doubling, the media calls it doubling down on the Abraham Accords. Doubling down on the Abraham Accords, which is what, and they're saying that to describe the recent negotiation talks with Saudi Arabia. You following so far? Because Saudi Arabia was one of these Arab states that was in the run-in to be added in the fold of these original Arab states that did agree with the Abraham Accords. Biden continued the legacy of the Abraham Accords, thank you, Trump, with these latest negotiations with Saudi Arabia, which were getting pretty close to an agreement, which is major. Saudi Arabia saying, okay, Israel exists. That would be a significant change in the whole region. And I realized something about this because as I was learning about these things, I learned something about the Arab people, the people themselves, not the government, not the, you're right, not the terrorists or this or that group, but the people, the women and the children and the men, but the women and the children, the people going to work. Let me show you something that I found fascinating. If I could find where I put it. Fascinating. Check this out. Okay. Hold on. You're going to love it. You're going to love it. And I'm going to get to calls. The lines are smoking. I'm going to get to super chats. But I want to show you this. Where is it? Where is it? It was a video. A fascinating video. It is about, basically, let me see if I could just YouTube it. Worldwide protests. Well, not worldwide, but Gaza, Tehran. Rallies in support. Here it is. France 24 reports Hamas attack on Israel. Rallies in support of Gaza in Tehran, which is in Iran, Istanbul, which is in Turkey, and Beirut, which is in Syria. No, Lebanon. These are Muslim countries. These are Muslim people. I want to show you the scenes of the Muslim people in these countries waving the Palestinian flags in support of Palestine. Check it out.
Celebrate in Tehran, gathering at the city's Palestine Square to show support for Hamas's attack on Israel this Saturday. Iran provides political, financial and military backing for Hamas. A top Iranian official expressed support for the operation.
We support the Al-Aqsa flood operation and we will stand by the Palestinian fighters.
Amazing. Okay, maybe a little bit more. Check it out.
In Palestinian camps in Lebanon and in Beirut's southern suburbs, there were further triumphant scenes among Hezbollah supporters.
Israel claims to have an invincible army. The myth of Israeli intelligence has been shattered once again, and we're facing...
Amazing. So check it out. These are the people. I've come to find out. I've come to learn. Let me set the stage for you a little bit more. The Arab world, the Arab governments have, in recent years, signaled a huge change in mentality or I guess, shall I say, motivation, or no, that doesn't make sense. You know, in strategy, in their diplomacy with the West and Israel, in that they're willing to accept its existence and recognize the state of Israel and do trade, etc., blah, 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 with Saudi Arabia being the latest one. Very interesting. And so there, you got to understand what I'm trying to say here. The Arab nations are willing to have peace, is the point. The government. But I've come to learn that the people, the Arab people, because from what it looks like clearly being shown in these negotiations, diplomacy, and unprecedented change in strategy for the Arab world, you can see that they at least have a desire for peace. And so, in somewhat. But the people, it turns out, the Arab people of the nations, if they start seeing scenes of Palestinians being massacred or whatever, bad things happening to them, it gets them going. It gets them going. When they see the videos of Palestinians and stuff, it gets their emotions going, and they riot in the streets. They'll overthrow. They'll be a huge problem for the Saudi Arabian government, the Arab. Do you see what I'm saying here? And I'm not saying this to take away to make it seem like the Arab governments of these nations are these blameless entities at the subject to the will of this bloodthirsty populace. I'm not going to say that, because there's fomenting that happens with these governments. They foment things. It's all very dark and clandestine. And it turns out that they were supporting terrorists here. And one more side note, if I may, this is not a moral high ground either. All sides have done similar things, right? Supporting terrorists, CIA, ISIS, hello. So I realized something. The people really are like the government. They really are the same. They really are blind, brainwashed, angry, hateful. You know, the women and children even as hateful and blind and angry as a murdering, beheading person. You know what I mean? They may not be doing the act. So they may not be doing the act, but they support. Literally, take this in. Literally. Arab citizens just, they're not fighters, they're not terrorists, but they're seeing what happened with Hamas, and they go out and they're protesting, not realizing that. And again, this might sound like ignorant, like, well, who do you get to say this? Why do you get to say this in your chair against thousands of years of history? But just hear me out. If you disagree, 888-775-3773. But they're out there protesting, not realizing that peace was like feasible. The Arab governments were literally ready to recognize Israel. You may disagree with that whole notion, but you can't disagree that that would bring some stability to the region. Because the whole fight is whether they should exist or not. If they can at least exist, well, now they could just have their fight over there about this or that domestic stuff. But now it's not like a fight of annihilation, and you got the emotions of the American people, and it's our allies, so now we got to get into World War III. Am I making some sense? Okay, let me get to calls here real quick in a moment here. Just want to tie this up. The people rioting. The Arab. Do you see what I'm saying here? The people are retarded. The people are as angry and as blind as the governments, as all this. And both sides are yelling at each other, genocide, blah, blah, blah. It's a mess. Did I make my point there? Kind of lost a little bit here. Did I make my point? Huh? They're saying babies' heads. They're saying that's the latest. Babies' heads were being chopped off. Babies' heads.
It's hard to even explain exactly just the mass casualties that happened right here. In fact, the Israeli military says they still don't have a clear number, but I'm talking to some of the soldiers, and they say what they've witnessed as they've been walking through these different houses, these different communities, babies, their heads cut off. That's what they said. gunned down, families completely gunned down in their beds. You can see some of these soldiers right now comforting each other. Many of them reserves who jumped into action, leaving their own families behind as well, not knowing the sheer horror that they were about to come to. They say they've never.
So they say it's because, like, I just wanted to show you the news report there. It's whatever. It's horrific, right? We don't. Well, I'm on. Like, I want peace, okay? I want peace, and everybody getting into the devil's confusion on the he said, she said is going into this, what looks to me, this like slow march to this war that has nothing to, that they don't even understand. And I don't understand, like, besides anger and evil. And they got you mad about beheaded babies, which no one is okay with. Obviously, no one's, unless you're like a psycho, I guess. But nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. But these moments, we gotta keep our head on our shoulders. We have to keep our head on our shoulders, because some of you might even remember this. I never knew about this until I actually heard about this recently, before this whole conflict. But I didn't know about this. Some of you might know about this. There was an account of a young girl during, after, like, was it 9/11? What was her name? Someone might know. Young, what was it? It was like a young, it was a young girl in her testimony to Congress or something. And it turned out to be false. But it got the American public to agree with an invasion into, like, Iraq or whatever. Nayirah. Anybody know who I'm talking about? The Nayirah testimony. A false testimony. This is from Wikipedia. Given before the United States Congressional Human Rights Caucus in October 10th, 1990, by a 15-year-old girl who was publicly identified at the time by her first name, Nayirah. The testimony was widely publicized and was cited numerous times by U.S. senators and George Bush to rationale support in Kuwait in the Gulf War. That's what it was for. Kuwait. Cernovich shared it. Yeah. Nayirah. Fascinating moment in recent history. The Nayirah Kuwaiti girl testimony.
Thank you very much.
Some of you might know this.
The final witness is also using an assumed name, and again, we ask our friends in the media to respect the need for her to protect her family. And we finally call on Nayirah to testify.
Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, my name is Nayirah, and I just came out of Kuwait. My mother and I were in Kuwait on August 2nd for a peaceful summer holiday. My older sister had a baby on July 29th, and we wanted to spend some time in Kuwait with her. I don't
have to play. This is a long video, okay? So I don't know why I'm just starting to play it off like this, but I wanted you to at least see Nayirah. I wanted you, some of you already know about this in the chat, but this is a Wikipedia article. Okay, this is a Wikipedia article, folks. False testimony for the support for a war. A support for a war. These videos, these moments you're seeing, they sometimes the motivation is to inform, but it invariably, there are actors that don't have that same motivation. The motivation is to get you riled up, emotions. So it always goes back to this, don't it? Don't it, folks? Bond Network. It always goes back to this, folks. Anger. That's why you got to overcome anger. What are y'all doing? What are you doing in your life? What are you paying attention to? I know, okay, maybe you're watching my show and you're all like, wow, history and blah, blah, blah. Even if Nick is bumbling his way through it, but it's kind of interesting. It always goes back to this, folks. If you could just handle your emotions, overcome anger, y'all. Atrocity propaganda. That's another Wikipedia article for you. Atrocity propaganda. And And I say this not out of knowing, too. There's a fog of war here and ignorance. I don't know if Iran's involved or not. I don't know. You got Ron DeSantis out here. Making these sanctions to Iran. Didn't the State Department say that there's no evidence of that? Didn't Israel say there's no evidence of that? Can we wait, Ron DeSantis? Now, maybe, I don't know. Maybe he's, again, I'm not a politician. They obviously may have some information I'm not privy to. But last I did my Googles, there's no evidence of Iran's involvement. Iran leadership, just a moment ago, I Googled it. Iran leadership saying, hey, we have no involvement with this attack. Interesting statement. So wait, let's actually Google that. Let's get that right. Iran involvement. Let's get that straight. Deny. I swear I saw something about Iran denying involvement with Hamas and the whole thing. The point is, the U.S. I reported yesterday, that was not fake news, that Israel and U.S. both said there's no evidence for that. And we got Ron DeSantis out here ready for the sanctions. I don't know, maybe Florida can do some pretty significant damage to Iran. I don't know. Maybe he's not, maybe I'm counter-signaling him when he's doing some pretty major work. I don't know.
And that is today our proposal that as we stand with Israel, we sanction Iran. So we are going to roll out for the next legislative session a proposal to increase Florida's sanction on Iran and to block Iranian business in our state.
Again, because I'm a total layman, I could be totally ignorant. I'm going by vibe here, y'all. And it's just like, wait, is this really like big boy leader making big boy moves in the stage? Or is it a little yell from Florida? Look at me, I could be a big player too. The well may have been poisoned for me in that I'm seeing people memes against Ron and anti-Ron propaganda. So in my mind, he looks kind of like, he seems like not well suited for the big stage and kind of like an upstart, kind of trying a little punching above his weight class maybe a little bit. So can we chill a little, Ron? Didn't the U.S. State Department say there's no evidence for that? Can you just chill a little bit? Jeez. And so that's Ron doing that. I was telling you that because I forget why. I forget why I was telling you that. I just wanted to show you Ron. And to also say that, yeah, it adds to the point of getting emotional and starting to take sides with and in ways that's crazy too. There's one thing is to say, there's one thing to say, well, that attack was horrible and for Hamas to not expect a retaliation, that's crazy. Israel has the right to defend itself. It's another to say, well, we got to go in there. America has to go in there. We got to fight Iran. We got to, eradicate the Palestinians, gene pool eradication, and all that stuff, right? Christian pastors out here saying, turn that into a parking lot. Palestinian groups out in New York saying, yeah, kill them. It's crazy. It's crazy. The world's gone mad. I want to get to calls. Anything else I want to say about this? Interesting stuff going on with the ladies. Egypt, Dan Crenshaw, and what else? And RFK. This is going to be really interesting, so you want to stay tuned. But first, we're going to take some calls because we're going to pivot a little bit. It's not going to be all Israel. Let's get to, wow, thank you for calling. Before I do these calls, let me run through these super chats super quick, y'all, because I got some supporters here, and I do appreciate it. Over there on Rumble, what's up, Brian RWK? What's going on, man? Being enlightened till I rise, my supporter there. Appreciate it, sir. Man, I really don't understand how Israel is so important to America. What do they do for the country? Just seems like they fund our American politicians for control of the U.S. government to get our tax. That is an interesting chat there, Being enlightened till I rise, and I appreciate it that you made it because it reminded me of one point actually I didn't get to make. People are asking, what's our point being over there? Helping Israel, being our allies and all that. And I feel about the war the way I feel about Ukraine. I mean, what are we funding here? Can we just chill? But we actually do have, in my opinion, in my layman opinion, I think we do have a little bit of an interest, and it's this. Peace. And that doesn't mean side with this or that side and agree with their every little grievance. You know, if we side with Israel, that means, they don't like Iran, and does that mean we got to go fight them too? But let me tell you a little bit of something about Great Britain, and because they used to have a very historic and grand role. In fact, the nations in Europe had a few of them. You may not be understanding what I'm talking about, but let's go back to World War I and even before that, the Western European monarchies. And at the time, Great Britain had command of the seas around the planet. It's crazy. I don't think that's ever been seen ever since. At one time, you can go, I forget from what coast to what coast, but you could be under a British flag all the way through. It's incredible, the British Empire. They had command of the seas, and it was this command of the seas that commanded a peace around the whole world. You didn't want to mess with the order imposed by Great Britain and her navy, her fleet, her Royal Navy. At the same time, Great Britain wasn't the strongest, though, in Europe. They weren't the leading power. As World War I started coming up, Germany was. But yet, Great Britain had the British had a foreign policy that went like this. It went like this. It was, I forget, it has a term, but it went something like this. They recognized the importance of a balance of power. That's what it's called. The balance of power policy, something like that. They recognized that a balance of power was able to hold peace. And instead of being the strongest and just owning everything, the British policy was to side with a bunch of weaker nations, and to maintain a balance between the stronger nation or nations. At the time, it was Germany, and so that's how they maintained a sort of peace in Europe and in other unstable regions. It was by recognizing that peace is almost power and peace kind of share a relationship that requires sometimes what might look to some like like aggression, but you're just brandishing, right? Brandishing a firearm might save someone's life because they won't attack you. You see what I'm saying? Okay, you following me so far? Or am I making no sense at all? They had a role by keeping that balance of power. Germany had a historic role by keeping the Russians out of Europe. So Europe, I apologize for the language, but get your head out of your ass. Straight up, Europe, Germany, the British, you guys have historic duties, okay? Germans are supposed to keep the Russians out of Europe. So it's time to get your head out of there and pick it up. Pick it up because you guys got roles in the world, and it's kind of falling apart, y'all. And so to what you were saying there, being enlightened till I rise, I don't really understand how Israel is so important. I don't have the solution for you, but there is a vested interest in peace, okay? So thank you, being enlightened till I rise. And thank you for all your chats. Here on YouTube, right before we get to the calls, I'm being a little long-winded today. Let me see the super chats. Carver, thank you for your super chat, sir. Says Dan Crenshaw, keeping an eye on America. He rhino. Dan Crenshaw, if you don't know, is that guy with the one eye. They call him a rhino. And he seems kind of rhino-y to me. I can't remember someone might remember the sins, the rhino sins he did that makes him one. I forget. But the point is, he's the guy with the eye patch, right? Dan Crenshaw. He made a recent comment, I believe. I heard he made a recent comment that's fascinating. And I'm going to Google it right now because it's pertinent. Ooh. Anyways, it was supposed to be on the JLP show. I believe Dan Crenshaw may have said something about ending all wars. Someone have the scoop on that? Anyways, that's an interesting comment, don't you think? Didn't they say that about World War I? The war to end all wars. I feel like we might have heard, well, the world may have heard that one before. Light of the Twin Lamps with the triple back-to-back super chats. Thank you for the support. Let me start reading them. It says, never forget the USS Liberty. Israel has killed more Americans than COVID, migrants, ISIS, Iran, etc. Really? More than COVID, migrants? Really? How many died in the USS Liberty? Light of the Twin Lamps with another one says, Jews claim to be indigenous to Israel, but Israel has the highest skin cancer rate in the world. 2 being Australia. Europeans weren't meant for the desert. Okay, Light of the Twin Lamps. That's one way of looking at it. But like I was saying yesterday, like going back and peeling back the onion, trying to find the grander justification for this and that event or person, it's like, for me, maybe I'm too simple. Maybe you disagree. Call in 888-775-3773. Maybe, Nick, how dare you be talking like this about thousands of years of history? But in my opinion, the white Europeans, they won the war and they carved up the world the way they did, and I'm not going to be mad about it, okay? And it's like, if you hate Jews, let's say you hate Jews, and you think of yourself like most people do. You know how everybody says, well, yeah, I may do bad sometimes, but I'm generally a good person. So let's say you're this person which is pretty much 90% of the world, and you're like, yeah, I'm generally a good person, but I don't like Jews. Wouldn't you want them to have a home so that they can, like, leave where you are? You know what I'm saying? Like, have them go somewhere. Unless what you're trying to tell me is you want to kill them all. Then that's a whole other thing. I don't know about you, sir. I'm a Christian. I'm about love. Well, I don't know. I'm not talking to Light of the Twin Lamps. Obviously, Light of the Twin Lamps they're not saying they want to kill anybody. I'm not saying that. So, wouldn't you want them to have a home, number one? Number two, they carved up the world the way they did. The Europeans, the winners, the allies of World War I. Like, I'm not going to come here and say this claim or that claim is not right. Because it doesn't, here's what I will say. You know what? That's not true. I'm not going to say what claim is not right because out of my own ignorance, but if you force me to have an opinion, then let the Jews stay there. And you Arabs have your Arab thing, but that could be out of ignorance. That is a lie, Nick. Germany had actual relations with Russia. Wait, what are you talking about? Anna? Germany and Russia were always friendly with each other. No. Wait, Anna. Oh, talking about Germans' historic. Yeah, but when I say when I mean the Germans' historic duty of keeping the Russians out, I'm quoting. Not only am I quoting someone, I believe it was Lloyd George, but it's also doesn't mean it's a hostility against Russia. It's just we're German, you're Russia, and that's how peace gets kept. But balance of power. It's not a hate thing. It's a we stay strong so that you stay over there and you stay strong so we stay over here kind of thing. And because as we're seeing Germany in their weakened state, in their weakened state that they are in today, they can't keep anything out. Not only can they not keep in check the balance of powers in Europe, now you got a bunch of Africans and all these migrants and all that coming in. So that's what I mean, Anna. But Anna's from Germany. She knows what she's talking about. So I'm also quoting. I'm quoting someone. I think it was Lloyd George, or it may have been like a Russian. A German chancellor. Was it Bismarck? Lord Bismarck. Otto von Bismarck. I'll find out for you, Anna. I appreciate that though. Germany and Russia were about to get friendly again, and oops, America destroyed their pipeline. Yeah. So where was I? Calls. Let's get to calls. Last Light of the Twin Lamps. My bad. Last Light of the Twin Lamps super chat here says, fact check. The last election held in Gaza was in 2006. 75% of the Gazan population was unborn or not of voting age at the time. Anchor Baby is lying by suggesting Hamas is democratically supported. Oh, wow. See, I didn't know this. I'm just kind of telling you what is the reported stuff. Is that true? That would be interesting, right? Because of all the people that voted for Hamas in 2006, now that the people there didn't vote for them, is that what you're telling me? I mean, when I was saying that about the people in Gaza voting for them in 2006, the point was to describe, the public. And so those people who voted for someone in 2006, they still raised children, right? They still made a home they call Gaza and all that or whatever. So anyways, I don't know about them today. That's an interesting thing, though, Light of the Twin Lamps. Thank you for that. Interesting info. I heard that a very significant percentage of the Palestinian population are children. I heard like a very significant, almost half, which is interesting. Is there any population on Earth like that? Half the population is children? Holy. I believe that's all the super chats. One more from Spoiler Alert says, no more wars for Israeli. It sounds like they're going to do it, Spoiler Alert. I don't know if it sounds like it's the end of Gaza. Of the Gaza Strip. Gaza. Nazi commies are the worst, besides maybe globzy commies. All your super chats making Nick have ADHD. So true, Lucas. Let's get focused here. Get to the calls. I got Frederick, Los Angeles, California. Thank you, sir. You're on the air.
What's going on, Nick?
Appreciate it. All is well. And yourself?
All right. You got to lay off that espresso. I can tell when you had that double shot, man. I can tell.
No. Actually, that's not true. I'm on the Coca-Cola. I don't do espresso.
I knew it was something.
I hit the Coca-Cola.
Check it out. Don't be gaslighting the people. If you're
All
for
right.
peace means trust. Now, are you saying you're willing to trust Iraq with nukes and Iran with nukes? Or are you going to show total aggression against them countries if they try to obtain nukes to defend themselves around the countries that have nukes?
I don't know. Because Iran is the one that's basically the Muslim.
Iran can't have nukes and Iraq can't have nukes.
And those are the ones that are basically.
So they're being treated like kids that we can't trust.
Okay, but the other Arab states aren't, right? The ones in the Abraham Accords and the ones with Saudi Arabia with Biden, they were going to play ball, all cool. It's Iran and Iraq that are the ones. Tell me where I'm wrong, but I believe those are countries who have like publicly stated we want to destroy Israel.
I mean, how else are you going to divide up the map?
Say again?
I mean, if you say the people in power divided up the map and that's how they play it, you don't think the other side is going to want to eventually divide up the map the way they see fit, and they need the equipment and the bombs to do what y'all did?
Sort of.
Yeah, if they can get
sort
Russia
of, but that hasn't happened.
Team,
that's the point.
If they can get Russia and China to divide up the map their way, we're going to have to live by their laws under them brandishing their arms.
Right. And
why not that be okay?
Say again? Why not what?
Why wouldn't that be okay if they teamed up with BRICS and then they're brandishing the firearm to keep us in check and they're dividing up our land?
Because it looks like we would get dragged into it. That's the big deal. Right? It's not anymore a domestic. It's not anymore. It stops being this domestic, regional conflict, Palestine, the Arabs, the Israelis, and it becomes now you got Iran.
Domestic conflict.
Say again?
We built
Israel.
We put that there.
Huh?
There's never been a domestic. Like, we went over in the Middle East, and then we teamed up with, we took over the slaves, and then we sent the money to Britain, and then took them, made them a power, and then they start taking over land. Now they got it where they want it. You're saying it's wrong.
That's not what happened.
What
do you're saying? Wait, we went over there and what? Give me your summary of
NATO,
World War I.
All these countries.
Give me your summary of World War I again.
NATO, the UN, all these countries that's in NATO that we fund, that we done been funding for all this foreign aid forever. This ain't nothing new. America's getting tired of doing it. But now the power is going to the Saudis. They got the oil, and they want to divide up the map. And even the American people are like, look, we're not getting no benefit from all these hundreds of years of this foreign aid. They're about to divide up the map the way they want.
No, but you were saying something else before. You were repeating yourself. So that I can respond.
What don't you understand about that? How do you see the peace coming?
No, now I'm lost.
Do you see peace if we got nukes pointed at them, but they can't have
It's like the people who say, well, what justification do the white people here have in America? And it's like, well, if you got colonizers coming here, well, you guys did the same. So what am I supposed to say? Just let them? That's what happened in the past. I'm talking about stuff in the past, but we're here today, and you're asking me I got to let these, the Israelis or whoever, whatever nation you're talking about has to allow Hamas or allow Saudi Arabia or allow Iran because Frederick from LA said, well, that's what happened. That's what the Europeans did in World War I. So you just got to let them.
I don't think we have any right to. Okay.
That being said, your little summary of World War I or how Israel came to be is kind of interesting because that's what you're referring to, right?
I'm referring to Russia and China and Iran about to divide up this map, and you thinking it's fair.
Wait, when did I say it's fair for BRICS to do that?
I mean, America done it, and you said it was fair, and they should get over it, right?
Well, I don't know about fair, but it's how it went down.
I mean,
it's how it went down, and you're asking me, like, think about it like this, man, because you're making it sound. This is how you worded it. You said, well, America, they came here and they divvied it up. But it's like you're missing a lot. What did they divvy, though? It was the Ottoman Empire. So what did you want them to do? You want them to just be like, okay, all right, destroyed nations. All right, destroyed nations of the Ottoman Empire. Bye. I wonder what would have happened if that happened. Would they have been invaded? Would there have been more atrocities? Would they? You know what I mean? It's speculation, but you're saying. You're talking about history. You're talking about history in a way.
We're talking about right now.
Say again?
We're at war, funding Ukraine.
Yes.
The American people's tired of it. We got a presidential candidate that was a Republican, Kennedy, that's going as an independent.
Yeah, fascinating. We're going to get into that.
Vote.
Yeah, what does that have to do with
more
this?
People are sick of this funding Israel stuff. But the people on TV, everybody know what position y'all take because
everybody knows what tradition what
position the people on TV take. They're pro-Israel. You're supposed to have that stand. When you hear that man talking on TV about us, what are we going to do? This is the worst thing. Why come my inbox ain't full?
Yeah,
it could be a Palestinian man talking to his country saying the same thing. We've seen it coming. They be telling us what he's going to do. They won't stop till they get the mound. But
what's your point about that? It sounds like you're railing against me about that, but I'm saying atrocities on both sides. I'm not taking a side on that. What's your point with that?
I wasn't either, but at the same time, I'm not taking sides either, but you can see what's happening. Everybody, like, all of a sudden is paying attention to why are we funding these people? Why are these politicians coming out to say aid? We sick of the aid.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, people are talking about that now in a way I don't think I've ever seen. And considering
squeaky wheel gets the oil, you know what I'm saying? It seems like look at this over here, bring a little attention. You know what I'm saying? Black Lives Matter wasn't as bad as killing a bunch of people at a music thing, but it brings attention to look at this and what's really going on. You know what I'm saying? Oh, these people won't. They've been fighting for this long. They cutting out lights and power to 2 million people. They want to make that a parking lot. No, it's only fair if they have nukes and can defend themselves. Wait a minute, that's not fair. That's not how we're gonna have peace. If y'all gonna be a bully in the Middle East,
but the Arab governments want this.
Iran's building their nuke regardless.
Okay, yeah, but when I'm talking, it gets confusing, Frederick. Moving around a couple of things. There's interesting things we could expand on. For example, the Arabian the peace deals there, but we glossed over that. And another comment you made, but we keep moving fast. Let's stick to the peace deals here. Saudi, you were saying like, You're saying that the peace deals with the Arab countries to have them recognize Israel is bullying from the West? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying the no nuke policies we impose on other countries and put sanctions on
specifically Iraq and Iran, right?
Right. Any country that don't do what we say.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know what to feel about that. I mean, I don't know enough, to be honest with you. I just don't know. I just don't know. I'm hearing some of these like rhino type people that in my mind I've assumed are rhinos, but again, it could be out of ignorance, all talking about like, what's it called? Like these people are completely irrational, total psychos. Honestly, I think all people are just as equally psycho. I think these Arab governments have at least enough reasoning to do some diplomacy. I don't think it's so. I don't know. And about nukes, I really don't know what to tell you, man. You think they won't? Do you think they won't use them, or they would? Iraq and Iran.
I think Israel be better off as a country knowing that another country has nukes and ain't going to use them unless they threaten to use theirs. I mean, you can't just bully a country and expect them that they're behaving and acting as a normal country, and you got them threatened their whole life.
I can't disagree with that.
You can't threaten the country and call that civilization.
No, I can't.
That's not civilization.
I can't necessarily disagree with that. I feel like we're glossing over some important details here. Like, for example, haven't these nations pretty much outwardly said we're going to destroy Israel, and giving them a nuke is kind of an interesting. May I, Frederick? May I, sir? May I, sir, on my own show, finish one sentence? May I? Maybe one? Thank you.
Go ahead.
I feel like we might be glossing over a couple of details. Like, didn't these countries say they wanted to destroy Israel and all that? But I can't necessarily disagree with you, because if we're going to be these custodians of the world and say this is the new world order and we're all going to play hunky-dory with the new rules, this seems a little unfair, right? I see what you're saying. If we're going to be treating them like are they going to be adults in the world stage or not? But do you think are they going to send the nuke to Israel or not? Do you think if Iran had a nuke, would they send it? Would they just press the button?
It all depends.
I think that's a fair statement.
If they get bombs while they build it, if they losing members of their family while they building it, and once it gets built, they do a toll and see how many people they lost, and the people that helped build it done lost enough family members, they'll say, yeah, send it. I don't care. But if while we building it and trying to enrich uranium, they steadily bombing us and trying to starve us out and kill us, they're going to say, keep enriching, because once we got them out of our way, we don't need a nuke. We can live life on our own without them threatening us and tariffing us and taxing us and trying to do all this other stuff, thinking we want to bomb them, and we ain't even got a bomb. They putting thinking on them, and they ain't even got a bomb. Just for wanting a bomb, they can't do business. So I mean, it's all what it is.
Fair, interesting statements, Frederick. Thank you, man. Can I ask you one last question, and then we'll move the wheels? Do you?
Yes, sir.
I guess you already kind of answered this, but have you, if I could be brief, taken a side with any atrocity or conflict here? You know what I mean? What I mean is, have you seen any of these images and gone like, well, wow, Israel is really the criminals here, or Palestine, they're really the criminals here? How do you see it?
I have kind of taken a side. And I'm bringing back the Rainbow Coalition. You know who
What's that?
Were?
No, I don't. I've heard of this. Maybe. Can you inform me?
That's when the Confederates teamed up with the Black Panthers, and everybody was oppressed by the people in power. And they had a Rainbow Coalition where they came together, and they knew the people in power was draining the money out of the American working people, and they was doing something about it. Now they broke them up, and now they're just white nationalists, and the Black Panther Party's dead.
So you do or you don't? So you do or you don't? And thank you for that.
Yeah, I want to bring them back together.
But what about Palestine and Israel? Like you're saying,
are fighting against the people in power.
So you're with Palestine because they're kind of like the Black Panthers?
The Rainbow Coalition. It was in the South.
Yeah, but about what I asked you though, I was talking about. You don't have to answer, by the way, but about Palestine and Israel though. So you're with you agree with the you agree with the Palestinian violence?
I'm not on the side.
Oh, okay.
I'm hoping. Not Israel. Egypt get involved and try to help out.
Help who? The Palestinians.
You know what I'm saying? So,
Help who? The Palestinians.
It don't matter as long as they get involved.
You know what? I
I'm
agree with you.
saying?
Yeah,
As long
they
as
should
get
open up
involved.
their border. They should open up their border instead of keep trying to send it, because they keep sending in like trucks of like, I understand.
Right,
They're trying to feed the people, blah, blah, blah. But there was an interesting comment that Thomas Sowell made that I was made aware of. Thomas Sowell made this comment in 2014 or something about the Israel-Palestine conflict, and he made an interesting comment about the decisiveness of wars. At one time, man wouldn't fight a war knowing that a retaliation could end in annihilation. But now, with all the foreign aid from these big governments, you got Hamas, Hezbollah, Gaza, Israel. They can attack. They can attack knowing that they'll be protected. So it's never a war that's truly decisive. So they don't really know the consequences.
Exactly. There's too many plays in it. They don't know what China's doing. They got too many pawns, and you think it's only 2 rows because you count your pieces, and you don't know who's ready to jump ship on your own team when the shit pop off. Yep.
Amazing.
Imposters, look out for them. Excuse my cussing, but have a great show, Nick. I
Thanks,
love
Frederick.
calling in and talking to you.
All right, call me again. Yeah. Oh, okay. Let's run through these calls super fast. I want to get to RFK Jr. His family turned on him. It's so fascinating. He's running as an independent, but you got this family, and it's 3 out of these 4 family members who made a public, basically turning on him, are saying it's 3 women, and these 3 Kennedy women are basically saying, you may have your dad's name, but it doesn't mean anything. What the heck, ladies? What right do you get to tell a man, RFK Jr., the man, what connection he has to his father or not? We're going to get into it. Fascinating stuff going on in the families of America. It's a demonstration and illustration of what's going on at large. It really is. The individual, you see the people in Gaza, the people in Israel, people in Iran, they're out there protesting. It's all the same spirit. It truly is the same. Thank you, Jesse Lee Peterson. For the commentary on that, let's run through these calls. Zeus, Florida, you're on the air.
Hey, Nick. How's it going?
All is well, sir. Thank you for your call. Go ahead.
So basically, I definitely felt the need to tune into the Bond Network yesterday because I wanted to see what the tilt would be on this whole Hamas-Israel thing. And
tilt.
I would definitely say you have surprised me. Hake also surprised me a little bit. And
what do you mean by tilt?
On how you guys would fall.
Go ahead.
What side you guys would fall on, right?
I'll let you finish.
Because we had a conversation on Friday, and I feel like the conversation we had on Friday, I feel like whatever has happened in these last 2 days or since the whole attack has only proven me right. And I feel like, again, I like to give credit where credit is due, and you surprised me yesterday. I don't really know what you're saying today, if I'm being honest, but yesterday you seemed kind of more in the middle, don't take a side, and I will agree with you.
And what am I saying today?
I don't know what you're saying today, bro. I was listening, and I've been on the phone for like a little while. And also, I don't know if you're aware of this, but like when you play video clips, you can't hear it on the phone. So for a while, it's just quiet. So I don't know.
Yeah, I know. My listeners who are on hold cannot hear the clips.
Yeah. So I don't know.
I don't have any. There might be a way to change that, but it's just how it is right now. But thank you for reminding me. I should remember that.
No, it's not. It's not a big deal.
But wait. Let's get to the nitty gritty. Let's get to the meat. I like talking to you, Zeus. I don't have a personal problem with you. But let's get to it. You're saying.
I hope you don't. I thought we were friends.
What's that?
I thought we were fellow anchor babies.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, sir. But let's get to it. Let's get to the nitty. Like you're saying. That it proved you right, but prove what? What claim what were you saying, and that what has proved you right?
Essentially, that people on the right are easily manipulated. They will support whatever happens in Israel, not because of what they personally believe, because they believe that's somehow what Jesus would believe. And, like, again, I call Trump a Zionist. And what does Trump say? Oh, we got to do everything we can to support Israel. And that makes me not want to vote for the guy, because I'm voting for him because he's going to make America great, not because he's going to stick up for Israel. We already give them aid. We already give them weapons. If they can't defend themselves, that's their own problem. We need to focus on America. And that's why the like you said, Art's call earlier on the Hake Show was right. That's none of our business. Let them do their own thing. Israel has the resources. Whatever happens there is their business. Let's fix our country. But again, the people, the politicians, and here's the thing, you know who's happy about all this? The people who are war profiteers, the people who make money off of war are loving this because they're making more money selling weapons. And their little puppets, the people they pay in Congress, the senators, the congressmen, are pushing and peddling all this war stuff. Oh, you're on the right, you're so-called conservative, you have to stand with Israel because that's what Jesus would do. And I saw something, I was listening to a podcast earlier, and I saw somebody that they posted, like, Jesus loves Israel. And the funniest thing is Israel doesn't love Jesus. They, earlier in the year, you guys had on the show, not you, but on the JLP show, where Israel made some laws where you can't preach Jesus in Israel. And you showed a clip, I think yesterday, where the Jewish people were like spitting on the Christian people. People in Israel don't love Jesus, but they use that to manipulate you, not you, the conservatives, the people on the right who are all about Jesus, because all they're trying to do is make money off war, and they're just pushing an agenda. And again, it's not our business. Israel should, take care of themselves, and we should focus on America. But the sad reality of it is the conservatives and the liberals, Republicans and Democrats, the left and the right, they're the same thing. They're just people who pretend to be good that serve evil, and they have no idea what they're doing. And whatever their masters, the politicians tell them, they do it. And at this point, I don't know. I don't really care, if I'm being honest. Like, let them lead these people astray, because whatever happens, you get what you deserve. I don't know if Hake said this. Somebody said that, I think, on the Hake Show. You get what you deserve. If you're going to sit here and support evil, because people are getting killed. Like, I saw a video where they try to
so which is evil? You're saying if you're going to sit here and support evil, in this whole thing, what's evil?
Are you talking about like Israel, Hamas?
Sure. In the whole thing, in your estimation, what's the evil part?
In Israel and Hamas, the regular
in this
people,
whole thing you're talking about.
I think the leaders are evil, and why they're evil is they're motivated by greed, money, power. So I don't know if you heard this before, but apparently the people who are in charge of Israel, the people who are in charge of America, not the politicians, people who pay the politicians, are the evil ones. They're the ones that are wrong. I don't know if you heard this, but apparently
what about Hamas and Iran and in Palestine?
I think the people in charge of them that did the attacks are evil. Do I think the citizens of Hamas are evil? No, they probably don't even know what's going on. There's probably people there who aren't part of it, but the people who run that stuff, the people who made the attacks, are of course evil. They killed people.
So, I mean, you've called in the show, and I'm not quite sure what you've revealed here. It doesn't seem like we disagree. Oh, yeah, this is what I wanted to say. There was a little source of confusion in our call on Friday, which is funny. I think we may have set off Israel-Palestine with our call on Friday.
We might have, I think. You never know.
You never know.
They might have been listening.
The dominoes, man. You never know. Butterfly effect. But a source of confusion in our conversation was something I misheard. And we got to thank the Hake Report for this. He commented on that video, and on the video where we had our call on Friday, and he just, it turns out I misheard you, man. It turns out you had said.
Yeah, I listened back and I figured that out too.
It turns out you had said. Zeus here, I'm reading Hake's comment on the video on Friday. Zeus brought up Frederick's point that Christians go to Israel and kiss the wall, while the Jewish people don't even believe in your Jesus. Nick misheard it as the Christians who visit the Wailing Wall don't love Jesus. But he was basically saying Christians love the Jews, but Jews don't love the Christians. And that completely would have confused our conversation, because I thought you were saying that, simply going there means you don't love Jesus. When it's like, how do you know that? And
that's correct.
And that's completely different from what you were saying, man. So thank you, Hake, for clearing that up. And so, yeah. So,
but
we weren't even disagreeing,
though. No, but that's the thing, though. I was like kind of confused a little bit when we were first talking. I was like, what's he talking about? But I was like, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
Let's just keep it going. But
thank you for that.
That's correct. Yeah, no.
Okay, Zeus.
Cool.
Anything else you want to say before we move the wheels?
I do. I want to give a shout-out to the Snake Pit. So I was listening yesterday, and someone was talking about Matis Yahu, who I haven't listened to in like 3 or 4 years. So I played some of his songs. They're pretty good. Also, somebody today was talking about Father Abraham. Man, when I went to church, that song was amazing. And then also, shout out to Hake, Matilda the Gorilla. I think that's the song.
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
know.
Goes hard, man.
Sometimes there's some good music out there that the Snake Pit will be shouting out. So I don't know.
Oh, you were informed about Matilda the Gorilla by the Snake Pit?
No,
Is
I
that what
think
you're
from
saying?
because he plays it on a show.
Oh, gotcha.
No. Yeah,
So wait, let's get it. I'm a little confused here, man. Where do you stand? What's your position on Matilda the Gorilla? Let's get to the nitty gritty here. Tough guy. Pro or anti Matilda the Gorilla?
I think Matilda's cool, but I think it's really all about Harambe. Harambe is the OG.
Okay, I guess neutral stance on Matilda the Gorilla, kind of counter-signally, kind of subversive.
No.
But okay, I'll accept it. You don't have a positive or negative view.
Matilda's cool. She has a great song, but Harambe is the OG. He protected some kid and got killed. Poor guy.
Okay,
I feel bad for him.
Fair enough, Zeus. Right on, yo. All right, man. Well, thank you, man. Appreciate your call. Call me again.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah, Matilda goes hard, y'all. Matilda the Gorilla. Because that's what Matilda the Gorilla would say. Oh, all right. I got some super chats. I think Skyjack SJ40. Thank you, sir, for the super chat. Says, with this conflict heating up in the Holy Land, someone needs to keep a very close eye on Mr. Bill Gates. He writes. Hey, why do you say that? What's he up to? What's Bill Gates up to, huh? Where's Bill? No, that's a joke. That's a joke. Office here, everybody here. The show is fine. I'm talking about Bill Gates. Where's Bill? So I wanted to show you this. I found somewhat fascinating. What are y'all saying in the chat though? Hold on. So I mean, it sounds like some of you are saying I don't know if you've been listening, but I've been showing you atrocity propaganda from both sides. I don't think either side has a moral high ground. Did I already say that? Why am I fighting with the chat? If you guys aren't listening to the show to what I'm saying, then I don't know what to tell you. Okay. RFK Jr. Fascinating thing with him here, which I found interesting. I haven't been following his campaign or anything too closely or anything. I just know he's a Kennedy, and he's got that way of speaking, that halting way of speaking. I know it's from a medical condition, and it's unfortunate because I think a couple of people have said this, and I think it's kind of true that the American public will have trouble kind of listening to a significant amount of time to someone who speaks this way. You know, he may even be saying all the right things, but just that way of speaking, and that's halting kind of way, like it's tough for him to speak. Anyways, I ignore it pretty quickly. I can hear him. The point is, there's recent news with RFK Jr., who was running as a Democrat against Joe Biden. RFK Jr., who's been an interesting voice campaigning for a Democrat side over there in terms of in his commentary signaling against the progressive and Democratic side, kind of radical Democratic side going on right now, bringing back a more old school Democrat, maybe a little bit. A Kennedy, famous family, embroiled with tragedy, they say. The Kennedys, American political family, dynasty. I don't know. What do you call them? The point is, RFK Jr. went on Fox and Friends recently to open up about something. And this something came about after he announced his independent presidential run. RFK Jr., Robert F. Kennedy Jr., announced Monday that he will run for president as an independent, abandoning his quest to challenge President Joe Biden for the Democratic Party nomination. Kennedy, the son and namesake of an assassinated former U.S. senator and presidential candidate, revealed his new course of action at an early afternoon rally for hundreds of supporters on Philadelphia's Independence Mall. Over and over in his speech, he framed his independent bid as an authentic, contemporary expression of the patriotic spirit in the Declaration of Independence. Amazing, right? And look, Yahoo News calls him Kennedy, an environmental attorney turned vaccine skeptic and conspiracy theorist. You know, he recently, his commentary on vaccines was brought to light in recent memory as an attack and to misalign him as like a kook. When he's like isn't he like a doctor? Robert F. Kennedy, he's like a doctor. Let me double check that. Okay, maybe he's not a doctor. Maybe he's not a doctor. Isn't he like a scientist? He's something. He's informed. The point is, they brought his commentary about vaccines, trying to make him look like a kook, blah, blah, blah. RFK Jr., talking about his independent run, going to run as an independent. He appeared on the set of Fox and Friends Tuesday morning and revealed the great pain he has felt since announcing his political plans and leaving the Democratic Party. He was rejected by his family. RFK Jr. formally announced his third-party bid for the White House in Philadelphia. Following Monday's announcement, 4 of his living siblings have issued a statement expressing their severe disappointment with the move. In a statement shared to Twitter/X, Mediaite, still using both names, Kerry Kennedy, Rory Kennedy, Joseph P. Kennedy, and Kathleen Kennedy Townsend iterated that while he may carry the Kennedy name, their brother didn't inherit the Kennedy values. Incredible. I mean, I found this somewhat interesting that family members would do this, but I'm not surprised. That family members, like, what do you care? You have your own life, right? Like, he's doing his presidential campaign, and maybe they have a serious ideological disagreement with RFK. When they're in a free country, somewhat. They say it's a free country. And they are, I guess, allowed to make their statements. But it's an interesting thing, especially the way they write the statement. And who are we talking about here? We're talking about Kerry Kennedy, Rory Kennedy, Joe Kennedy, and this other Kennedy. And let's get a little look at these Kennedys. Huh? Let's see. Let me actually read the statement, then I'll show you who's the Kennedys talking here. Statement on Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s announcement today. The decision of our brother Bobby to run as a third-party candidate against Joe Biden is dangerous to our country, they say. Wow. Bobby might share the same name as our father, but he does not share the same values, vision, or judgment. What the? Today's announcement is deeply saddening for us. We denounce his candidacy and believe it to be perilous for our country. This is with family like this, and what do they know about what vision he may share or not with his father? And who's saying this? Who's counter-signaling RFK Jr. against his dead father? Huh? Let's Google these people. Kerry Kennedy. Kerry Kennedy. I'm taking sides in the Kennedy dispute, and I'm all incensed by the Kennedy dispute. And we got the Honorable Joseph P. Kennedy II. Such distinguished names, huh? Such distinguished names, yet such savagery, anger, and savagery. Joseph P. Kennedy II. And finally, Kathleen Kennedy Townsend. Maybe she's married. Let me show you these people. Because it's 3 ladies and one, I don't know, he has non-Chad-like physiognomy. But what do I know about all that? Kerry Kennedy. We got one lady. We got Kathleen Kennedy. Another lady. Look at her in a pantsuit or something. We got a third. In fact, it doesn't end. It does not end. In fact, a third lady, a Rory Kennedy, and one finally a male, Joseph P. Kennedy II, with a kind of that kind of Kennedy Chad look. But is this really Chad? 3 ladies leading the way. I want to say leading the way, but I don't know what the heck I'm talking about. But I want to say 3 ladies leading the way against RFK Jr. with family like this. I mean, I find it fascinating because of how evil families are. how evil families are, how easy we turn on each other, and how the spirit is the same in the government and the people, the public voting and incensed by this or that fight, and families. You'd think ties, these familial ties, thicker than blood, thicker than water, they say. But they're fighting too. They're all fighting. It's all fights. Pathetic, says Yes Gunner. Everyone, even the distinguished Kennedys, even the distinguished, you know what I mean? Ready to devolve into World War III in the Kennedys. Too much of a stretch? You see in the connection? Hey, whatever. Look, it's just, people are, it goes back to it. It really does. Anger and emotion. It really does. It goes back to it. We got to thank JLP starting the train. Well, I don't know about starting the train, but spreading the message. We're going to, spreading the message even further ourselves, right? Doing the work and discovering all this for ourselves, right? I want to play you this little video. It's of what we're talking about. RFK on Fox and Friends, might as well. Amazing Mediaite. You gotta love modern websites who don't know how to retain an audience. You want me to use your hard-to-use website, Mediaite? Figure it out, man. Figure it out, man. I'm clicking on the play button. What else do you want me to do? It's rocket science to use your website. Let me pull up the tab here. We got Mediaite on deck with the Fox and Friends video, and they just want to serve me ads. Let's watch this Drano, I guess, commercial. But what's chat saying right now? All right. Okay, thank you, Mediaite. Thank you. Okay. RFK Jr. Amazing. You saw that, right, chat? You saw that, right? We were just about to watch the video. And Mediaite doesn't want us to use their website. That's almost infuriating. That almost makes me want to. That's a joke. Let me just stop before jokes get me banned or something. So I guess I can't show you the video, huh? Amazing. Amazing. Wow. I'm a little shocked how a website can be so unusable right now. Let's go to YouTube, huh? Thank you, YouTube. Never mind. This is a mess. They don't want to show us the video either. They just want to play some music and some text. Everybody trying to get engagement. Let's move on. Let's move on. Let us move on. Because they're talking about carte blanche. Everybody has their reasoning. Everybody has their reason for a carte blanche to do whatever you want. You got the Palestinians, and they're saying, well, this is our home, and we've been in 60 years blockade, so we have a carte blanche to do whatever we want to the Israelis. It's our liberation. The Israelis say, well, look at what Hamas is doing. It's carte blanche to end the gene pool. You have similar things. You got black people in America. Speaking of carte blanches, the N-word. You know how if you say the N-word, there's a notion that you could do anything to that person, it's justified, because they're like, what do they call it? They call it Well, they're evil. They're ontologically, they're racist. They're a racist. They're N-word saying racist. So whatever that's coming, whatever they get they got it coming. Whether it's bodily harm, violence, doxing, canceling, fired, divorced, again, violence, bodily harm. Well, he had it coming. He said the N-word, they say. A carte blanche to do what you want. Isn't that kind of interesting? It's kind of a justification going around the world. This or that image to get you going, right? They're saying it's their 9/11. And you got people over here. What is it? Starbucks employees. Union employees. Starbucks union championed by Bernie Sanders and AOC celebrates Hamas attacks. And look at this picture of these, like, what? This guy looks kind of tall, but like tattooed, old, skinny, women, pink hair, tattooed nose ring people. These are your Hamas. These are your Hamas Black Lives Matter radicals in America. Now, we have actually violent and angry people. Don't get me wrong. But these vocal people online and in universities going like, yeah, Palestine. Yeah, this is who they are right here. Meanwhile, the reality of the situation is like, like beheading, and they say beheading, right? But we're talking like serious violence. We're talking like, they say it's raping and stuff. They say it's raping and all that. And this is your Palestinian Hamas group in America. I don't know if they knew the reality on the ground of war. Put a gun in their hand. I mean, I don't know what they would do. This is your modern American Palestine supporter. If they're not an immigrant who's like a little bit more dangerous. You know what I mean? Like, we got these groups of people protesting out in the streets of New York, looking a little fobby, looking a little, they look like Hamas. Okay. So carte blanche, where was I? And I see your calls, 888-775-3773. You got Black Lives Matter over here supporting Hamas, right? Hate crime, white man nearly beaten to death by black guy after he accidentally stepped on his shoes. Anger. And this is the story here, just a little bit. A story that we've kind of confronted a little bit already in other criminal acts in the country. Nobody wants to get into the race thing, though. And it's not race, right? It's hate. But the quick knee-jerk reaction of these families, the victims' families, of this one that got ran over by a bike over somewhere, and this other one, Cruz, who was helping out, some black guy got killed by him. Or the guy, Ryan Carson. The quick knee-jerk reaction of the friends and family saying, no, stop, it's not racism. It's not a race thing. It's like, can we just chill? Can we get the full story? So we've confronted stories like this in recent, recent memory. Scott Wagner, New Orleans resident, attacked after he stepped on another person's shoes, according to The Messenger. Apparently by accident, according to New Orleans Police Department statement and a family interview. The victim's family said he's suffering from a life-threatening traumatic brain injury. He may not survive. Incident occurred near the French Quarter. After Wagner stepped on the man's shoes, the attacker approached Wagner from the back and punched, causing Wagner to fall to the ground. So, I mean, it's just kind of thematic, really. Thematic. Carte blanche, tit for tat, and unjustified escalations. I mean, chill. I guess you never step on a homie's sneaks. You don't want to do that. On their kicks. Don't do it. I got a call. Let me get 2 calls. Hey, I'm done with this. No need to. I'm lost. Let's get to a call. Steve, Ohio, you're on the air, sir. Thank you.
Nick, what's going on, man?
All is well, sir. And yourself?
Very well, man. Great show. I
Appreciate
listen to you and Hake almost every day. You guys get me through the work spot.
Man, thank you for that. I do appreciate it. It's an honor.
May I suggest to you a movie that kind of may wrap into what I would suggest would be like a sleeper cell type scenario, and maybe how they create them?
Help me understand what you mean by that.
Per se, there are, which we don't know for sure, maybe a bunch of able-bodied people in a certain area that may have previously been conditioned with like a hypnotism type, so that if they get triggered the right way, they enact something.
Gotcha. Like enemies in a, enemies.
Sleeper cells.
I'm following. Okay, so you were saying a movie? What's this movie have to do with sleeper cells?
Yeah, so I'm not much of a movie watcher, but recently I watched the movie Get Out.
Oh, yeah, I know that one. Is that Jordan Peele?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Go on. No, go ahead. Is it Jordan Peele, though? It's a horror movie directed by Jordan Peele. Or
yeah, that one.
Thanks. Okay, go ahead. I've heard about it, never seen it.
So I'm not much of a movie watcher myself, but, I'm more conspiratorial. And when I watched that movie, it kind of brought a lot of things to light where, in my personal opinion, I think Hollywood will tell you things so that they have karmic retribution. And this might be one of them. That's just my opinion.
Help me understand that. What do you mean by that? What is that, I guess?
So from what I understand, and obviously I wouldn't know for sure, but within, like, say, Kabbalah or something like that, they have a karmic, like, karma that they have to balance it.
I've heard of the concept of karma. You get what what goes around comes around.
100%. Like, so, you know how, JLP will say you can have perfect peace, like, straight up, and you don't need the evil. Mm-hmm. But from what I understand in their beliefs, they need a balance of both. And that's why we're told that our whole life. You know how, every good action has a bad outcome, or vice versa, that type deal.
Right.
So what I believe is they told us that to let us know, like, hey, there are certain people that are under hypnotism, so that maybe at some point it may trigger a response, like, okay, this guy said the N-word, and that was my trigger word,
Oh.
It's a little deep down the rabbit hole, but it's a good watch.
Gotcha. So you're saying that's what Get Out, the subtext of Get Out there, of the movie is the concept of sleeper cells and karma?
Well, kind of. So if I can't give too much away, it's an interracial couple, and the gentleman goes to the white girl's house, and everything's cool, and then he starts to see weird things happen, and it turns out they collect people and kind of like it's pretty deep. They'll wipe their consciousness and put an old white guy's consciousness in them, but they have to break them mentally to do that.
Sounds like Hollywood programming. What the?
Yeah, it's deep, man. I mean, I
sounds
watched
like some programming stuff.
Yeah, man, I watched it a couple weeks ago. I was like, whoa, there's no way they're showing this.
That's strange.
But I thought,
the whole concept, though, karma, good and evil, and equal parts in one being. Now, this is all a little intellectual, so don't think this is all deep. But just using reason, I guess, if I can sound like I'm about to be so reasonable. It doesn't seem like a very Christian or Christian concept. Like, I understand the acceptance of good and evil, and so that may be a tenet of that concept to accept it, to know that that you can't change it. But then good and evil are opposed, though, and they're different.
Right. Yeah, you can't serve two masters.
Serve two masters, yeah.
100%.
So anyways, it's an intellectual kind of overview of what I heard just now.
No, No, I just wanted to suggest that because I feel like, we all go into normie mode once in a while and start watching things here and there. And it's a decent normie flick that I think has been kind of bringing like a subconscious awareness so that when the stuff comes out, they'll be like, oh, I've seen that somewhere. Where did I see that?
Hake says that has like an anti-white like sentiment to it. Maybe.
See, I thought that at first, but then after listening to like you guys in JLP, like you don't even notice color anymore, so you just watch the story for what it is.
I like that. You totally start seeing things differently. Even in some, I think another thing too is that you see things that even sometimes people themselves may not even realize they're saying or referring to.
Right. Like, say, if I watched it in 2017, I'd be like, whoa, dude, they hate white people. But now I'm watching it and I'm like, whoa, that's an evil spirit that's controlling all these people doing all this crazy stuff.
Fascinating, man. I might have to check out Get Out so I can at least catch up a little bit with this world. I am talking to them, aren't I?
Yeah, if you go into normie mode for a little bit, that's a good one. It's on Peacock right now if you got that.
Nice. You got some Peacock TV stock?
Yeah, no. I mean, that's just cheap.
I'm joking. Thank you for the film suggestion, Steve. Appreciate your call.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say before we move the wheels?
Yeah, I'm gonna dox myself. I'm Mildew Guru in the Rumble chat.
Hey, we got Mildew Guru. Hey, what's up? Always in the chat over there on Rumble. Thank you, sir.
All right, feel free to block my call next time.
Right on. I now know not to who not to take.
All right. Hey, thank you, guys.
Take care, Steve. Call me again.
Yep.
Right on. What are we doing? What are we doing, y'all? What are we doing? The sleeper cell code word is Hamas. No, it is Baruch atah Adonai. Sleeper cell code word. What should it be? It should be Biden. No. Right on. What are you guys saying in the chat in the last few minutes of the program today? Hope you've been enjoying the show so far. Should be a nice show tomorrow. We got more Bond Network fresh episode with Joel Friday today. It's going to be a fresh one with Hassan as well. Wow, Hassan tomorrow. That is youtube.com/@Joel Friday TV. That's one host. And that is also youtube.com/@WOWHASSAN. Wow, Hassan. Oh, no. Ignore what I just said. It's @walking, WALKING, walking on water, HASSAN, Hassan. That's for his channel. Wow, Hassan. Tomorrow, 11 a.m. Pacific time. On the Bond Network. You don't want to miss it. Bond Network, JLP Network. We might get that down real soon. With some unifying uniform regalia and banners. You know what I mean? So that we could fly. All right, y'all. That's pretty much the show. Do I have time to get into anything else here? RFK's losers at Starbucks. Mad people around the world. What are y'all saying in the super chats? Make sure I don't want to miss anything here. True about the emo spirit. Yep, the emo spirit. Never heard it like that, Mildew Guru. Beautiful. That's everyone. Super chats and everything. All right, y'all. What's up, Sion? Were you always here? Nice. Were you always here, Sion? Hope you've been well. They're going to chop off our heads. Hank protesting. What are you talking about, Sion? Hank's too level-headed for that. Joel Friday TV didn't even know it was anti-white. He has a pure heart. He's not all poisoned, well poisoned like us. Always got to make a comment about everything. The programming. I really like. That's why I like Joel's vibe, because I enjoy. I can still enjoy the world in a sense, right? Have fun and watch movies and do my thing. All right, y'all. That's the show. That's the show, y'all. American Anchor Baby. We got more American Anchor Baby tomorrow for Wednesday. We got a Wednesday show tomorrow at 12. Don't miss it. Lunchtime with the American Anchor Baby. A little later for some. And we got JLP show, Manhood Hour, Hassan at 11. And that's all, folks. Oh, wait, hold on. Hold on. Yeah. Yep. Violent event denialism. That's one thing I guess I didn't get into. Real quick, a term you might start hearing soon. Violent event denialism. It's a policy of certain big tech social media platforms. Very vague. Should you deny a violent event and question it, that's a bannable offense. So be careful what you're saying out there, and don't you dare question narratives, which is wild too. And this is the time to be questioning and be measured and nuanced, because we're talking about war. We're talking about major war. And I don't think anyone wins. There's no real winners, not the public, not the people. Okay? And we get to do a bunch of fighting and shooting bullets instead, which what? Is it's more than a distraction, right? There's people dying and all that, but it's also, too, a distraction from paying attention to ourselves, which may avoid the war. So that's my little closing there. All right, y'all. That's it from me, the American Anchor Baby. I shall see y'all on the flip. Take care, y'all. Appreciate it.